we talk a lot about is that mindset of knowing that you can do this. I think our mindset really holds us back in the sense that we don't dream big enough. Yeah, we have this dream, it's out there, but can I really turn this into a $10 million business? Absolutely, you can.
I'm Melanie Barr. Welcome back to the She Built It podcast, your go-to place to empower you to live the life and business that you crave. I'm here to talk about everything from having the courage to make life and career leaps to the details of how to lead effectively, create successful teams, implement strategies for growth, and infuse tech innovation. I'm here to celebrate your wins and navigate through your challenges. I live in the city now, but I grew up in a town of 1,000 people. I've navigated major life leaps, a senior level corporate career, worked in professional sports, and now as a successful entrepreneur who loves business, technology, family, and making meaningful connections with you and the She Built It community. I also love a good workout and dose of self-care. Magic happens when we focus on the part of ourselves and our business that brings us joy. So turn up the audio, open your favorite notes app, grab your favorite drink, and here we go. Welcome back to the She Built It podcast. Thank you for joining us, Jackie. What inspired you to start and create Behind the Design?
I saw this need within the industry. I ended up going back to school because I burned out and I became an interior designer. And after working at 3 different architecture firms and teaching at the local design college, I realized there was a disconnect between where we are within college and graduating and what we're doing professional development-wise when we get out and running our own business. And as much as I wanted to teach and share that knowledge, Behind the Design was born out of that, is that not everybody has time to go back to college or take a course. And so I wanted to create that educational professional development arm that went beyond some of the things within the design community I was seeing. There's a lot of professional development around products and how to use those products, but there wasn't anything around at the time. How do we run our business? How do we grow a business? How do I hire people? How do I manage people? So that's how it started with professional development and how do we really help other people? And then that evolved in, okay, let's also offer some services to help them as well, because it is really hard as a solopreneur or as you're growing a business to do that all on your own. We have different courses and different educational modules. We offer a lot of education for free. I call them the DIYers, the people that are getting out there and starting, how do I market my company? How do I find new clients? But we're also a marketing firm. So we focus on content and we help the design and construction industry because this audience has this great amount of content and they don't even realize it a lot of times. They'll go, what do I post on social media? Oh my goodness, you have so much great content. And so how do you get that content out there across all of your channels? Mm-hmm. So what does that look like? And what's the best strategy that you need to go after your target audience and to be really focused with that?
That's so true. I always look at people in food and real estate and think they have endless amounts of things to be able to post.
Yeah, exactly. And it's crazy how many people I've talked to. And I don't think I have anything to say. Oh, you have so much to talk about and share. There's so many good things to talk about.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Have you always had a background in design or a love of design?
I have. I was in corporate marketing for a long time. Spent about 7 years helping small, medium businesses as a marketing consultant. And I've really burned out. And a lot of the lessons I teach now are around that experience that I had. I was a solopreneur, didn't know how to ask for help. I didn't know how to grow beyond myself. I was really lost and I burned out. And so when I looked at, okay, what do I want to do with that next step of my life? My kids were getting older. What do I want to try? And design was the thing that kept coming back because I loved it. I loved doing things around my own house. And so I thought I would go into residential design and ended up going into commercial interior design because I really could relate to that because I had that business background and it made more sense how people work, how they function in a space. How do you make those spaces more efficient? So yeah, you want to brand it, you want it to be beautiful, but you also need to work in it in a functional way. And so that's how I went down that path. And it was really fun for a long time.
And it's so true because a lot of times we want to do the thing within our business, but the business side of it is difficult. I want to design beautiful things, but having to do with the paperwork and the invoicing. And like you said, how do I map out my marketing and how do I find new clients? That can be the challenging part.
And I hear this all the time. I started my business because I wanted to design more. I wanted to pick my clients. The problem with that is that you're really only designing about 20% of the time. And the other 80% of the time is marketing, sales, operations, bookkeeping, all the things that they don't prepare you to do. And so that's where we talk about, like we have one course, it's hobby to profitability. How do you grow a business beyond yourself? And I say hobby because so many designers think they're going out and they're going to do this and say, hey, I'm going to design and do all these great projects I want to work on. But the reality is they get out and they just created a really hard job for themselves that takes a lot more work, a lot more effort, a lot more stress. If you're not working, you're not making money. So yeah, you can still make some money, but you're not really growing a business per se. And so we talk a lot about that. If, okay, your business is its own entity, and how do you create that beyond your own self and grow that?
Making a business from your hobby, if you can get the operation side on your side, then you don't really feel like you're working every day because you're doing something that you love.
That is exactly it. It feels so good to wake up every morning and go do something that you actually want to do versus dreading it. And it's hard to believe that people still wake up and dread going to work, because I wake up every day excited to get up and I have new ideas and fresh ideas. And that's what really makes your work meaningful, is when you care about it, that you want it to grow and you want to see it prosper and help people in your zone of genius.
Yeah, I love that. Thinking about your zone of genius. We all have our strengths, and sometimes it's hard to hone in on that. And then it's hard to delegate at times too.
Oh, it's so hard to delegate because especially when you're running a business, and people always say, oh, business isn't personal. It is personal when you're putting in all this strength and energy into a business. It is to some degree. And so you have to step back from that and go, okay, I get that this is my passion and this is my business, but you really have to take a second and go, okay, hold on. How do we grow this beyond me? And the biggest thing I learned is asking for help and getting that help. And just because you know how to do something doesn't mean you're the best person to do it. And I'll give you a great example of that. HTML and websites. I know how to design websites. I know how to do the HTML. Am I the best person to do that? No, because I'm actually really slow at it. So I do the design, and then I have a tech person who actually does all the back end HTML because she can do it so much faster than I can do it. I know what content needs to go in, what it needs to look like, but she can do that a lot faster than I can. And it's a better use of my time working on my zone of genius and her working on her zone of genius. And so when we ask for help, we often, especially women, I think, we think, oh, it's a sign of weakness, or I can do it all. And it's not that you can't do it all. You just don't have to do it all. And so why not ask for some help and get the help you need in the areas that maybe you don't enjoy, or maybe that you just need extra help with?
And that's so true. And I found myself asking coaches, because sometimes you want to learn a skill, but if you were to try to sift through all the videos online, you could teach yourself. But if you hire a coach for an hour, it jumps you that much farther ahead.
100%. And that's something we should be doing a better job of. I love learning. But at the end of the day, asking somebody who's already been there, being in the room with people that are already 10 steps ahead of you, learning from your community, that's really those shortcuts that you need. And so it's not just about continuously learning. It's also about who do you know and who can help you and give you some advice that they've learned. The people before you and that are 10 steps ahead of you, I promise they have gone through some of the problems you have gone through, hitting their head against the wall. And so why not learn from them? And coaches are great. I have two coaches, and one of them is very much related to sales, and one of them has to do mindset and energy. And I appreciate both of them because they give me different perspectives.
That's so true. And it's such a help because we are so in it that at times it's hard to look at ourselves and see what we need to do next.
I joke all the time. I'm like, oh, I have brilliant ideas every day. But do I really? I really don't have those brilliant ideas. And so it's so good to be able to run ideas and share those things, especially if you're a small company. We have employees, we have contractors that help us, but just to have somebody else who's also thinking positively and wants to see you succeed in a good way and being able to bounce those ideas off of is so helpful and help you stay really focused, because as entrepreneurs, we struggle with staying focused. We come up with those great ideas. You got to really stay focused. I tell people this all the time with their brand. You need to share your brand, whether that be your personal brand, your company brand, over and over until you're absolutely sick of it. And then you keep sharing it more because everyone else isn't hearing it the way you're hearing it. And it's the same thing. You really have to stay focused on where you're going. And a coach really helps with that.
What do you think is the most important element of leadership when scaling and growing a business?
Communication. As leaders, and you and I talked about this a little bit before, coming from a corporate world where we didn't have a lot of great leaders from female perspective. Being open, being vulnerable, sharing your knowledge, those are good leadership qualities. And so rather than thinking, okay, women around me, men, doesn't matter, but as a leader, I want to share as much of my knowledge as I can to help you grow. Because as I have my team grow stronger, that pushes me to be stronger. And so to me, that's leadership. That's when you are more concerned about everybody else around you growing, because as a community, as a company, you're growing together.
Yeah. And it's so much better when a leader is in it with their teams.
Yes, absolutely. That's really important. There's a vulnerability, I think, as leaders, just like being a parent, we're supposed to have all the answers. We don't. We definitely don't. Unfortunately, they don't come with books. But you have to be somewhat vulnerable too and ask for help within your own staff as well and your community. And leadership isn't just about the people. It's not title. It's not people that work for you directly. You can be a leader in a community, in networking groups, on your social channels. Just sharing knowledge is a huge part of being a leader.
What advice do you have for someone that wants to turn their hobby into a business?
What we talk a lot about is that mindset of knowing that you can do this. I think our mindset really holds us back in the sense that we don't dream big enough. Yeah, we have this dream, it's out there, but can I really turn this into a $10 million business? Absolutely, you can. So we talk a lot about mindset, of making sure that you have the right mindset. Then we talk about how do you put in systems and processes so as you grow, your company's offering great services, great products, no matter if you're offering it, whether somebody else in your company's offering that. Everybody has systems and processes that you're following. And then the third aspect of our pillars is the habits, developing habits to support all those processes and systems. So we look at this business as this entity. We look at, okay, the mindset, the systems and processes that are going to help us get there, and then what habits we can create to make sure that we're following that systems and processes and we're staying within where we're going and staying focused.
Yeah, all of those things are so important. And the systems, whenever something isn't flowing right, I think, okay, let's go back. Let's do a tech and a communication review. Where are the bottlenecks? Why isn't this flowing properly? But those things can be overlooked sometimes. And then today we're inundated with so many different things. It's hard to not look at every shiny new. I love the platforms and all the tech. And so I have to dial myself back and say, okay, I'm not going to make a jump right now. I'm not going to dive into learning something new quite yet, because you can do that almost every other day now.
That is the hardest thing, is not going off. Staying really focused on what your goals are and where you're going is really important. I truly believe that you really have to know your goals and you have to break those down and go, okay, this is our goal for the year. This is what we need to accomplish each month. This is what we need to accomplish each week. And this is what we need to accomplish each day. And I have an idea book that I just put down my ideas. They're the things that are going to have to hold off right now. But let's really focus on what is the priorities for this period of time. And then when we reach there, then we can add more into it. But it is one of the biggest things as entrepreneurs is that it's really easy to get distracted by shiny syndrome.
When you're interested in it, it is hard to. But working backwards is so smart. And I love your idea book, because it's amazing when we do stream of consciousness, what comes out. And that it's really important to do that, because in addition to having all the shiny new tech toys, we're always doing something. So for me, I almost have to schedule time to do nothing. And it seems like your idea book is where you just let your mind go and whatever comes out.
Exactly. And I heard this scheduling that time, whether it be an hour, to write down your ideas and brainstorm those ideas. That's okay, and get that out of your brain so you can focus on what you want to work on. And then when you come back to that, you have that idea. It's really important as a leader that you continuously are strategizing and looking at what is to come in the future. But we still need to focus on what's going to drive revenue right now. So it really depends on where you're at in your career. Revenue is vital in staying the course and making sure that you're going in the direction you're wanting to go is really important.
Yeah. We've talked a lot about business today. Magic happens when we focus on the part of our business and ourself that brings us joy. What do you do for you to make sure that you're finding and living your joy?
This is one of the things that I am challenged with because I love what I do. I love going to the gym. I love swimming. I do really take the time to spend time with my family and try to back out of my thoughts so that when I'm with them, one of my favorite things is sitting on the porch with my husband. I have one son, but just sitting out there saying hi to the neighbors, talking about our days. It's my favorite time, especially in the summertime when it's really beautiful out, in the fall and spring. And being able to spend time in that moment, that's where I get a lot of my joy.
The quiet time. And you mentioned reading books. What are you reading? Anything fun?
I am always reading constantly. And so right now I am reading The Ultimate Sales Machine. It's an older book that was updated, but it's actually really good so far right now.
Yeah, it's so funny. I have a sales book. I don't even know if you can buy it anymore. It's if you're not outselling, you're being outsold, I think is the name of it. And it's funny because when I was at the Dodgers, they brought in the author and I had the book highlighted and like pages were, and I'm like, will you sign my book? I'm like, clearly I've read it. But can you read those things before falling asleep? Because if I read a sales book or a motivational book before I go to sleep, I am awake all night. And now with the twins, I'm reading things like Colleen Hoover because it's a fast read that I can read and not think too much before I fall asleep. Because my days with the twins are nonstop till 10 p.m.
I spend 20 minutes in the morning. So I have a whole morning routine, coffee, and I read 20 minutes of a nonfiction book. I always have a book with me when I'm standing in the line, but at nighttime, I have to read a cozy mystery or something because that relaxes me.
I'm trying to get away from Netflix shows because I want to know what's going to happen next. And then I stay up way too late. So during the week, I'm trying to read more books. And then on the weekends, binge the fun shows.
Well, right now it's baseball season, so we watch a lot of baseball.
Oh, yeah. We watch a lot of baseball too, though. Which
I bet you do.
Relaxing, though, too. It's not, that'll put you to sleep.
Yeah. I love baseball. And as we were talking about, we are a baseball family. So
yeah,
I love baseball season. We get to watch baseball. And sometimes you're kind of like, okay, if it gets boring, I just sit there and do a puzzle or read or whatever and keep looking up to see what's going on. But
I always love that from a sales perspective when I would take clients to the stadium because it moves slow enough that you could have a really good conversation. It's not like basketball or football where you're constantly really have to intently watch the game. It's a little more relaxed. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for joining us today. Please share with us how and where we can find you.
Sure. Our website is behindthedesignco.com. And that is our channel on Instagram, Behind the Design on LinkedIn. We're on YouTube, and we're also on Facebook and Pinterest.
Thank you for joining us today. I'd love to hear from you. Reach out to me at hello@shebuiltit.com on our She Built It website or at She Built It on social. Thank you to my editor, Rich Streffolino, who always makes us sound good. Until next time, let nothing stop you from experiencing the life and business that you crave.